has been brought to our attention is that the saber rattling with China has always been bad, but now it's getting even worse because evidently AIPAC, I thought that they were an American pro-Israel organization.
Yes, they're an American organization. They're
going to Taiwan now. Now they're messing with them. You want to talk about a line that you should not cross? China has made it so abundantly clear in the nicest way possible. Don't mess with Taiwan. Stay the hell out of this part of the world. You are not ever, you may control the Mediterranean Sea. You are not controlling the South China Sea. No matter how much you try, it's World War III. If you think we're bluffing, come and find out, because that's what's next. And so now I wonder, why is it that AIPAC is being allowed to work its way in to Taiwan? I think that this is ultimately going to end up becoming a much bigger nightmare than people realize right now. But I would hope that you could briefly explain to the audience what your experience was like living outside of this country and some of the benefits that you found in terms of just basic living that we don't have here in the States, does not exist. So if you could share some of that, that would be great.
Sure. I mean, there's the basic stuff like healthcare.
Yes.
What's that?
I know. And unfortunately, Sweden has its tongue so far up the ass of Uncle Sam that it's like following suit in a lot of ways and trying to privatize healthcare. It's privatized its trains and things like that. But I think that one of the best things, and I understand like this is a privilege, and I think that this is done on purpose to ensure that people inside the US don't ever get to see it from the outside. It's kind of like when you're in a shitty relationship and you take a step back and you're like, wow, that was bad. Most Americans don't have the privilege to do that, right? Because most Americans can barely fucking make rent. So the ability to go outside the nation and see it from the outside, where you realize that what you have in common with your government is far less than what you have in common with that working class person in Spain or in Cuba or in China, right? And what our governments have in common is quite similar as well. And so I think with this is also about empire coming back to its roots. With climate change, with the rise of far right-wing populism, you have the United States coming back to its core mission, which is genocide, slavery, ethnic cleansing, the destruction of people and planet. It's always been about what the US has been about. And of course, it's always been what Israel has been about, right? So I think what you see here is when the going gets tough, the tough in the empire go back to their safe space, which is destruction and genocide. And I think that this is just American hubris. Just like with Russia, what Russia was like, I told you, don't go into Ukraine. Just don't stop. And in fact, when NATO was first created, Russia was like, you can't go beyond this line. And then NATO was like, do. And so I think like they just keep doing the thing that these countries are like, but seriously don't. And yeah, it's going to come back and bite us in the ass. And it already is. I mean, look at the BRICS nations. They are raking in cash. And meanwhile, the G7 are like, we don't have a lot of funds at the moment. And the fact that you've got like places like my home country, Sweden, strapping itself to the falling empire, it's literally like seeing a lifeboat go past the Titanic and being like, no, I'm cool here. And that's literally what's happening. And at the same time, you've got China, it's like watching a drunk guy at the bar beat the shit out of himself. And China's like, oh, this is bad, but I can't really intervene. There's nothing I can do. So I'll just watch this happen. And I think that like, the importance of seeing things from the outside is also to see that, I think you brought it up earlier about like the media landscape. We are the most propagandized people on the planet. And the fact that we're being told to hate the Chinese and hate the Russians and hate the Venezuelans, for what? For why? And never to hate the people who are the actual architects of our oppression.
We brought up a really good point at the start of the Ukraine conflict. And as soon as I dug into it and I discovered that there is about at least 8 trillion with a T worth of natural resources in Western Ukraine. And that was the impetus to get them into NATO, which Russia said, you're not doing that. And if we have to invade Ukraine and basically take over the Donbass, and that's the way it's going to be, because you are not dragging them in. Those resources do not belong to you. There was no other reason. It just became so painfully obvious that this is about money and power. And that is exactly what's happening here with Taiwan. Everything is about money and power. That's all that empire cares about. Religion is used as a weapon because it convinces scared people who are afraid of their own mortality that this is what you have to do for your own salvation. Even if a genocide is happening right in front of your face, who gives a shit about that? This is what they've been led to believe, and this is what they are believing. So when the Taiwan president says to AIPAC, again, what the hell is AIPAC doing in Taiwan would be my question that doesn't seem to have an answer right now, that Israel is a model for defense. Really? Why would you say such a thing? Who's paying you off?
Well, that's the question, right? Like we're just,
AIPAC.
we cannot poke at China enough.
Yeah.
We just can't. We cannot stop. We cannot poke at them enough. We will not be happy until they are like up our ass.
No, our hubris knows no bounds. And so Lai Ching-te says Taiwanese often look at the example of the Jewish people when facing challenges from China. Well, there you go right off the bat. They're also going down this road once again of equating Jews with Israelis and the state of Israel, and there can be no separation. But as I've often pointed out, as we often point out on our channel as often as we can with our wide-reaching audience that we are blessed to have now, is to basically be very clear about this. If you continue to equate Jews with Zionists, Zionists win. That's who wins. That's who wants that message out there. If you do not separate the two, then you are going to see even worse destruction economically, socially, environmentally, you name it. It will only get worse. And that, I think, is what's really lost on a lot of people, is this idea that what we are doing, what we are effectively doing in order to keep up with this genocidal state that just won't go away, I believe more than anything else, it is imperative that we use our platforms to continue to push the appropriate narrative, which is Zionists and anti-Zionists is a thing. And don't try to tell anybody otherwise. And don't equate, I wasn't done with that, Jen.
Okay. We need to wrap. That's why I was like, yeah. Okay.
Okay. I didn't, do we need to wrap? Do you need to
well, I mean, Eleanor's been here for an hour. It's, she has things to do and places to go and people to parent.
I mean, y'all don't need to wrap, but I will make my exit.
Right.
But
No,
y'all don't have to wrap.
No, of course not. But I want it. Yeah, it's time though. It's time. He needs to be reined in sometimes.
Well, yes, your thoughts, and then we will continue the story once you depart. And we really do appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah.
Especially.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I think I mean, I agree. And I think that as a very proud Jewish person and a very proud anti-Zionist, I think that it's very important that we continue to decouple those. And folks can check out my work at artkillingapathy.com. And thanks y'all so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Eleanor. It's always good to see you.
Thank you for all you do, and say hi to Lee for us, please.
Will do. Take care, y'all.
Bye.
So, as we
got to read the room. Got to read the room.
I wasn't reading the room.
I know, and you need to.
Okay. Do you have to be so mean to me?
Not mean. I'm just saying
Yes,
you got to read the room.
Yes, you are. You don't see it, and I'm telling you.
God, people, am I being mean? I have to.
Don't ask. You, of all people, don't ask the chat because you may get answers you don't want.
I know. Everyone finds me insufferable. I know.
Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te cited the biblical story of David and Goliath, of all stories, said at a dinner hosted by the U.S. pro-Israel lobby AIPAC that Israel is a model for Taiwan to learn from its strengthening its defenses. That guy's going to get himself killed if he's not careful. Taiwan has been a strong backer of Israel since October 7th, Hamas-led attack that triggered the war in Gaza. But Israel, like most countries, has no formal diplomatic relations with Taipei amid its longstanding tensions with China, which claims the democratically governed island as its own territory. Attending the American-Israel Public Affairs Committee dinner Monday night, the U.S. group's first delegation to the island, Lai said that Jewish people have suffered constant persecution over their history. The Taiwanese people often look to the example of the Jewish people, when facing challenges to our international standing and threats to our sovereignty from China. The people of Taiwan have never become discouraged. Appeasement has never been the way to stop authoritarian governments. The concept of peace through strength is a maxim that the Israeli, U.S., and Taiwanese societies have abided for years. Now, keep in mind, this is the Times of Israel who wrote this.
Can I comment on peace through strength? That is
Sure.
one of the dumbest fucking phrases I've heard. There's no such thing as peace through strength. Peace can only happen with justice. Strength has nothing to do with peace. Those things are, that's like, mixing letters and numbers. That doesn't matter. I just hate that phrase, peace through strength. What is that? That means what it means is submission of others through strength, where you feel like you have peace because the other people that you're oppressing are quiet.
I'm not touching you. Israel's determination and capacity to defend its territory provides a valuable model for Taiwan. Man, they're just asking for themselves to get destroyed. I have always believed that Taiwan needs to channel the spirit of David against Goliath and standing to authoritarian coercion. According to Lai's remarks, the AIPAC delegation, again, what the fuck is AIPAC doing in Taiwan, numbered some 200 visitors and included leaders from politics, business, and the other sectors of the U.S. As deepen strategic partnerships, invest in advanced tech, and enhance our defense capabilities, we look forward to closer Taiwan, U.S., Israel cooperation on security, trade, and beyond, promoting peace across the Taiwan Strait. Taiwan has a de facto embassy in Tel Aviv. Shock. While Israel has a similar representative office in Taipei, there is no similar arrangement between Taiwan and the Palestinians, whom China
has. Taipei?
Yeah.
Taipei?
Or Taipei? Is it Taipei?
It is most definitely Taipei.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you.
I just didn't know if you were referring to Taipei or if you saw somewhere that something said Taipei.
No, I thought that's how it was pronounced. My
Taipei.
Apologies.
No, Taipei.
Thank you. There is no similar arrangement between Taiwan and the Palestinians, with whom China has a close relationship. China recognized a Palestinian state in 1988. I would say that that's the most important piece of information. Hey, Lou. How's she doing?
She's having the best day ever. She was frolicking and running it's ridiculous. She runs and frolics and smiles and is so happy. But then I told her I'm not going to listen to her complaining about her slip discs tomorrow. Because I know and she keeps trying to jump up shit. She shouldn't be you're way too old to be jumping on shit.
Now everybody gets a close-up. Hi, Lou. No, they can't. They didn't even see her. You got to pick her up for a minute. And she's an old lady.
She's 15. She's 15. She's the best. She's not really, though. She's not the nicest dog. She really isn't. Like she's nice to me, but she really isn't the friendliest of dogs. That's the thing. I wish she were. You're not the nicest.
I think Taiwan is making a very calculated mistake in the worst possible way. I don't know how you can look at what's going on in Israel right now and think that this is a good move. But remember, the key statement from that very biased Times of Israel article is that China has recognized the state of Palestine since 1988. What happened around 1988, Jen?
I graduated from high school.
You know, this is really frustrating because I'm trying to do a segment with you and you're not paying any attention to what I'm saying.
I'm sorry, but you're the one who was getting me distracted with Lou. You're like, hold her up, hold her up.
I didn't ask you to bring Lou into the shot. You decided
She
to
jumped
do that.
up on me. She was needy. All right, what happened in 88?
Well, I think it was 87, actually. The Intifada?
Well, okay, so the fall of 87, right? So if you had said that, I would have said that the fall of 87 was the first Intifada. Because I was in Israel the summer of 87. And I know that it happened like very shortly thereafter. And that was when, after the first Intifada, that Izzy Hell started all of the most visible signs of apartheid. That's when they started creating the wall and the separate highways, expanding settlements and more violent settlements. Like a lot of that really started like on steroids after the first Intifada.
And I do think that at the time, that is also probably what pushed China to recognize Palestine as a state, because that also created even greater separation. I would say that 1987 was really a point of that. And whoever is JG, calm down. Seriously, some of you guys in the chat, enough already. I do think that definitely played a role in why things ultimately ended up getting as bad as it did, and why they decided that they were going to recognize them as a state. Now, why do you think Taiwan is caught up in the middle of this right now?
Because everybody feels the need to be on a team.
No, China does not support Israel. I don't know what you're talking about.
No.
China supports Palestine.
Which is why the Zios are going to seize an opportunity to go get attention and sympathy and support from Taiwan. And also, again, it's just one more way for us to needle at China. It's sort of killing two birds with one stone. But at the end of the day, they see that China is coming down on the side of Palestine, and they see Taiwan as an opportunity to sort of have some sort of counterbalance to that. But it isn't, because Taiwan is China, and there's one China. And us pushing that is just, it's not going to end well for us. It's not going to end well for us. So. Okay.
So Chanel keeps insisting that China recognizes Israel and it's its biggest trading partner. Okay. You're going to have to show me something, because that's new.
China is everybody's biggest trading partner.
Well, that's also true.
I mean, that's the truth. And are they very well playing both sides? Possibly. But they're not on board with what they're doing there any more than, every other country that's not doing anything. With the exception of Yemen, no one's really doing anything. They're all in violation of the Genocide Convention. Well, except us, because we're not party to the Genocide Convention. But so no, I don't know. But us, or AIPAC, going into Taiwan as if it is a separate entity from China is just provoking. That's all it is it's provoking, which is what we do. That's what we do. I'm telling you, we are not going to be happy until somebody drops a bomb on us.
No, I definitely agree. And I think that we could get a little bit more information from our good friend, Wally Rashid. Colin, I just sent you the clip, if you can pull it up. It's a quick explanation of what's going on. I would definitely say that, again, we're not here to advocate for China. Let's be very clear about that.
No, I'm not advocating for China. I'm advocating for us minding our own business and not interfering. It would be like us poking around with Taiwan would be like if China decided that they're going to start palling around with Puerto Rico and working on all sorts of agreements and doing all sorts of stuff with Puerto Rico and being in their water and like supporting their stuff and telling us, don't worry, this is between us and them, as if they're separate from us. So how would people react if China was forming agreements and arrangements and getting involved in our relationship with Puerto Rico? It's absurd to even think about that. But yet we're sitting there with Taiwan like it's an independent entity from China. It is not. So, there's one China.
Different opinions. Colin, are you there? Okay, just making sure. All right, so yeah, there is Wally Rashid has been a guest on our show. He does really great work covering the Israel-Palestine nightmare. But I would say probably more than anything else, the important thing to remember about this story is, why is AIPAC in Taiwan?
Why is AIPAC in Taiwan?
That, as much as anything, should deeply concern people, which is, as I've said, We need to get the hell away from them as fast as humanly possible. We don't move fast enough when it comes to this. We are moving now. We're seeing it. We're seeing how all the Zio scum at the Republican Jewish coalition event are freaking out about what's happening, but it's not changing fast enough. And that's why when things like this happen, it is of deep concern.
Ever, AIPAC is now leeching itself onto Taiwan and brought its first delegation there. Take a listen to this.
I extend a warm welcome to the first ever delegation to Taiwan from the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. AIPAC is a prominent nonprofit dedicated to advancing U.S.-Israel relations. It is a highly prestigious and influential organization in the United States.
President of Taiwan also posted this on X. A warm welcome to AIPAC's first delegation to Taiwan. As we deepen strategic partnerships, invest in advanced tech, and enhance our defense capabilities, we look forward to closer Taiwan-U.S.-Israel cooperation on security, trade, and beyond, promoting peace across the Taiwan Strait. Earlier this year, Israeli National News already wrote an article titled, "As the West Dies, Israel's Future Lies with Rising Asia." Israel shares increasingly fewer values with the leftist West, which in its bid to destroy itself has abandoned its history, culture, uniqueness, and belief in itself.
Israel is going to die, period.
Oh, yeah.
So this seems like a pretty desperate move, but why the fuck are we involved in it? Why isn't Israel just sending its own people? Why do we have AIPAC? This is the whole thing about...
Because they are Israel's people. That is the case in point. They are Israel's people. If they were... I think this kind of sort of proves it, no?
I would agree, but David doesn't. Again, here's the thing about Israel expanding. They are expanding, but they're never going to be able to sustain themselves without us doing it for them. That's the point.
They're finished, David. It's a short-term, long-term. Yes, they are working right now to expand. They are working on their Greater Israel project. They've got troops. They're in Lebanon. They're in Syria. They're all over the place trying to do that. They are running out of steam. Their economy is in the toilet. And as soon as the US dollar is no longer the world currency, and it is coming, people, it is coming, and we are not the world's hegemon, when that happens, Israel will cease to be able to exist. Israel can only exist at our pleasure. And our pleasure will cease to have any power or control when we no longer run the world's currency. So it's all coming to an end. They could sit there and expand between now and that happening, but they're losing the whole thing. So it's short-term versus long-term.
If you want any hope for the future of the United States, it will involve not having Israel as our greatest ally.
77-year history of Israel's diplomatic alliances with the West appears to be ending, and increasingly we see that we have disturbingly little in common with the dying West. So with what countries can Israel make sincere, substantial, and long-lasting alliances? Simply put, the countries that need Israel and we need them are South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, and critically India. The West, and particularly America, will try to prevent Israel from creating military alliances in Asia, since such alliances would mean lessening of US influence over Israel. As for Europe, they will also try to stop alliances between Israel and Asia, simply because Europe's genetic response is to prevent anything that is good for Israel and the Jews. We've seen since October 7th how fickle and dishonest was the support received from our American allies, and we have seen the response to October 7th by Europeans who denounced Israel as quickly as possible after the start of the war. This is absolutely crazy, but it's pretty obvious where Israel is headed next.
For a spectacular failure of an ending.
Yeah. And when we cease to exist and Israel no longer has our support, it will go away. It cannot exist on its own. It's like a cancerous tumor. You know what I mean? It can only exist attached. But when that does happen, all their linking to Taiwan isn't going to save them. It's not going to save them because China's not going to save them. Nobody's going to save them. Just because people trade with them because they exist right now doesn't mean any of those countries are going to put their necks on the line or try to save them. It just means that they deal with them right now.
For now, but hopefully not for much longer.